You are welcome to Life Skills Technologies. I'm Engineer P.O. Ajewole, and in this class, I want to present the topic on AutoCAD basics. In the last class, I tried to explain the AutoCAD interface, and practically I was able to take you through the interface right from the title bar to the to most details of the AutoCAD interface. In this video, I want to explain the basic things you need to know before you can be comfortable with the software. Now, in this topic, the commands and instruction should work on any version of AutoCAD. If you are using version 2010 and above, it's better. But any version less than 2010, it may look a little bit different. But nonetheless, the commands can work in any version. Now let's start at the beginning. There are things you need to know, or else the rest of the training will not make sense. And it's very important that you have a very good understanding of this lesson before you continue. Now let's talk about the coordinate system, the XY coordinate system in AutoCAD. You have to know that everything in AutoCAD is very accurate. It is exact. If you draw a line 10 mm, it will give you 10 mm. So that is the major advantage of the software over manual drawing. And every object you draw in AutoCAD is based on a simple Cartesian coordinate, or what we call XY coordinate system. Now, in AutoCAD language, we call it World Coordinate System. In O-level mathematics, ordinary level mathematics, you are familiar with Cartesian coordinate when you are plotting graph of y against x. So you have some values on x-axis, some values on y-axis. So the same thing applies here. In AutoCAD, we call it World Coordinate System. And the coordinate system will help you to put things where you want them. If you are working in 3D environment, there is an axis called Z-axis. So it becomes XYZ in 3D environment. Now, the following diagram shows the two-dimensional coordinate system, which we call World Coordinate System. Now, some people might call it User Coordinate System. Well, by default, it is World Coordinate System. It is when you begin to orient your coordinates, when you align the x-axis to a particular face or to a particular direction that you customize that you want. That is when it becomes User Coordinate System, UCS. But for now, let's know it as WCS. Now look at this two axes. We have x-axis and y-axis. They meet at a point which we can call origin. This particular point, look at the mouse. So that is the origin. Then we have the positive direction of x. We have the negative direction of x. We also have the positive direction of y and negative direction of y. Now, let's take this 9,6 for example. In AutoCAD, when you have a point written as 9,6, it means the point is located at unit 9 along x-axis and unit 6 along a y-axis. So the first figure means x, the second figure means y. Now this is another example here, -10, -4. The first figure means that that point you are locating is at distance -10, that is negative x-axis. Then along x-axis, then at distance unit -4 along y-axis. So that is that. Now, In order to work effectively with AutoCAD, you have to work with this system until you are comfortable with it. Learning AutoCAD will be more of a chore. So in other words, until you know the coordinate system, you may not find AutoCAD easy. And from experience, I've discovered that the better a student knows the coordinate system, the better CAD draft person the person will become. So it's important we understand this coordinate system. I will still talk more about it. Now, how does this XY coordinate system, or what we call world coordinate system, how does it work? Every point you put in AutoCAD is determined by the coordinate system. Now, the simplest thing you can draw in AutoCAD is a line. Now, to draw a line in AutoCAD, you need 2 points. Okay, in the previous video, I tried to show something. Let me launch AutoCAD. Okay, let's turn off this grid. Now, if I pick line tool from the home ribbons, home tab, under the draw panel, so if I click the line, if you look at the command window, it says specify the first point. So you need 2 points to draw a line. I'll click the first point, the next point. AutoCAD is asking for the next point now. So if I click somewhere here, and I press escape button on my keyboard to release the cursor. So you discover that I draw this line by locating the first point and the second point. So that's what we are saying there, that AutoCAD uses points to determine where an object is located. Now there is an origin. AutoCAD has origin. This point we call it 0, 0, and every object is located in relation to that origin. When you begin to draw as a beginner, you may be wondering where the origin is located. So if you are to draw a line straight out to the right from the origin, so that line will go along x-axis, positive x-axis. If you are to draw the line up, that will be the positive y-axis, like we have it here. So if this is the origin, this is the positive x, this is the positive y. So I've tried to explain the diagram. This diagram, that's what I'm trying to explain here. That 9,6 and minus 10, minus 4. So for example, this minus 10, minus 4 means that the point is 10 units in the negative x-axis and 4 units in the negative y-axis. Know that the first figure is for x, while the second figure is for y. So x always comes first. It always comes first. So please take note of that. Now, a line has 2 points in AutoCAD, a start point and an end point. So to draw a line, you may need to, if you know the absolute points, for example, people that are in mapping, they may know the point. So if you know the absolute point, that is minus 10 and minus 4, minus 10, minus 4, then 9,6. So these 2 points, we call them the absolute point. Because when you begin to draw, for example, when you begin to draw, you may not, I draw this 2 lines without typing any point. But if I start line command and I say minus 10, minus 4, I just type, look at the command window here. I just type it with no space. Just type straight, minus 10, minus, and I press enter. My cursor is hooked somewhere, but I don't know where. It's like outside the screen. So the minus 10, minus 4 is located in relation to origin along that point. Now, the other point, which is 9,6, we want to draw it now. So the other point will be 9,6. So I press enter. So I could not find the line. So the best I can do is to zoom. Let me quickly zoom on. I will explain this later. So this is the line. It is very small here. How do we do this? Let me zoom again. Z, enter, then A, enter. So the line is here. This is a line. It's small. You can see the line here is totally different from this big one that I draw there. So you can see it's only they are far from each other. Okay. So you can see the line is around there. So that is that. Now what we are saying here is, when you know the exact point which you want to use to draw your object, we call it absolute point. But most of the time you will not know where the origin is. Like the one I've just drawn, the origin is somehow hidden, not in the view of your screen. So that makes it difficult to locate the point as you are drawing it. So most of the time you will not know where the origin is. You will need to draw a line from the end point of an existing line. So when you are doing that, you are going to use relative points. So when you are using relative points, you are going to use @ symbol, this @ symbol, to tell AutoCAD where the next point is. Alright, let me quickly demonstrate that. Okay, let's go back to AutoCAD screen. Okay, let's Ctrl A and delete everything there. Alright, okay, let's say I start this line command and I click somewhere here. I don't know, I just click at an arbitrary point. Now, if I want to draw the line up along y-axis and I want it to be 50 units along y-axis, I will have to type at. Now look at the command window at 0,50. Now why did I use 0? My line is not increasing along x-axis, but it's increasing along y-axis by 50. So I will use symbol hat. The symbol hat means I am drawing that, I'm locating that point in relation, in relation to this point that I pick arbitrarily, that is a relative point. So any relative point start with at 0,50. So if I press enter, now you can see that the line is drawn at 50 units up along y-axis. If I want to draw along another line along this direction horizontally like this, and the length of the line is 100, so that will be along x-axis. I would now say at 100,0. I'm not increasing y, but I'm increasing x. That is why it is 100,0, but don't forget the symbol at. So if I press enter, so that line is drawn along x-axis because I say let it be 100 along x, but let it be 0 along y. So that is relative coordinate. We are going to do a lot of exercise to explain that. But